TheWatchTower.
To a new tweet from President-elect Donald Trump. It's got everyone talking about it, this one raising a lot of questions about his nuclear ambitions for America. On Twitter, he wrote, quote, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes," end quote. An expansion would break with a decades-long policy to reduce atomic stockpiles. Here was incoming Press Secretary Sean Spicer on the subject this morning.
Russia, China, and others are talking about expanding their nuclear capability. And his point, which I think a lot of people are leaving off at the end of that tweet, is unless they come to their senses. And I think countries need to know that under a Donald Trump presidency, business as usual is over. He's going to act. He's going to protect America. And if they increase their nuclear capability, America will act.
Mr. Trump is reportedly open to an arms race, according to an off-camera interview he did this very morning with another cable channel. So how is Russia responding? President Vladimir Putin shrugged it off today.
Regarding the newly elected President Trump, there is nothing new. He was saying during his campaign about the importance of strengthening the nuclear aspect of the United States, about the strengthening of military forces. There is nothing unusual.
So, Greg, we see Vladimir Putin saying, no big deal.
Well, you know what? Can I address the whole idea of tweeting? Donald Trump is an addict, but he's not addicted to drugs or alcohol. He's addicted to tweeting. I know, because I'm an addict too. I understand what he's going through. People say it's an awesome communication device. Oh, everything. But they say it's an awesome communication device. But I don't think that's why he does it. I don't think it's for us. I think it's for him. To him, it's like a video game predicated on attention. So he'll send out a tweet to see what he gets back in return. It really is like playing a video game, and he's always trying to beat his previous score. Like maybe he'll get 27,000 retweets when he says this about Hillary, but maybe he'll get 50,000 retweets if he says this about Russia. So it's to him, I think he's always trying to get better. And we have to wonder, you know, will we suffer from Donald Trump tweeting exhaustion in a couple of years if he keeps doing this? Because we react every single time because it's news.
Just a quick follow-up with
you.
You realize he's going to be President of the United States.
Right. And we don't know if this is for real or his opening bid. You know, I mean, is it going to become the boy who cried bluff?
Well, so that's why I want to ask Eric, because Eric, we both know a lot of the players here, but so Sean Spicer goes on here and says, business as usual is over. If other countries act to increase their nuclear supplies, the United States is going to respond. But then Jason Miller, who's the communications director, says, wait, no. All Donald Trump is trying to say is, you know, we don't want the threat of nuclear proliferation to get out of control. And so he's laying a marker down and saying, don't do that.
Are you confused?
Yes.
Success. There it is. Donald Trump achieved what he wants. He wants to keep everyone off guard, on their heels.
Even his own staff?
Not just one. Well, no, his own staff. They know what they're doing. Believe me.
But Spicer has a different message than Miller.
Do you think Sean Spicer and Jason Miller didn't know the other ones was going to say exactly what they're going to say? Here's the deal. Okay. Donald Trump made this comment, very provocative comment. The world took it, ran with it. The left goes, oh, my God, the end of the world's coming. World War III, nuclear proliferation, we're all dead. And then they start playing with this with us. Hey, this is what he means. This is what he means. Juan, you're confused. I think world leaders are confused. And for once, I'm thrilled that the world doesn't know what we're about. Instead of Barack Obama, who was anti-nuclear, anti-war, anti-everything, and anti-confrontational to the point where we were being walked over by other countries. I love this idea.
But I also think, I believe that this is posturing from President-elect Trump, because I think what he's seeing, you know, Russia act more aggressively, Iran act more aggressively, China act more aggressively. Wasn't Russia, Putin was just recently talking about strengthening their nuclear arms. So I think this is him flexing America's muscle and, you know, sort of laying that marker down. We're also going to see a marked departure under President-elect Trump than the foreign policy we saw from President Obama. We already saw that just recently with him taking the call from the president of Taiwan as well. And, like, it wasn't that long ago when Hillary Clinton was the one that was trying to reset relations with Russia, because I know Donald Trump has also been hit recently for the exchange with Vladimir Putin recently. It wasn't that long ago they were trying to reset relations. Also, you look at the fact that the media essentially gave a free pass to President Obama with his Iran deal, which failed to really sink teeth in trying to stop stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, we gave them everything, with giving them $100 billion in sanction relief, while simultaneously removing trade restrictions as well. So,
well, Lisa, let me just pick up on something Eric was talking about with Jillian, because Jillian, is this how the left, as Eric was saying, is sort of bollocksed by all this? I mean, is this how an arms race starts? And also, Eric says it's a good thing our enemies are confused. I'm wondering, is it really a good thing to have world leaders confused about U.S. policy with regard to nuclear weapons?
It's not. I actually think it's quite dangerous. I think that there's something to be said for not broadcasting certain types of U.S. foreign policy plans, say battle plans and the like. But I think that one of the major complaints that our allies around the world have had throughout the course of this administration, I don't think you're going to come across anyone who's going to tell you that foreign policy was a strength of the current administration. Part of that reason is that even our closest allies are confused by us, meaning we renege on a lot of commitments that we make around the world. We renege on a lot of engagement that has traditionally been going on.
Under Obama.
Fear that President Trump is going to pull us back from those types of things further. I do agree with Lisa that I don't think that this is a lot more than President-elect Trump flexing his muscle at the outset. Newsflash to everyone, if you didn't know already, most traditional U.S. foreign policies that we've got are going to be reversed very quickly. And so this is him kind of giving the flare signal that he's starting. He's going to come out of the gate running on this. He wants to try and backtrack on a lot of these things as soon as he can, or escalate.
So Putin says, you know what, I'm responding to the fact that the U.S. missile defense is now more secure than ever, and I want stronger nukes. And then Trump responds to Putin. Is that what's going on here?
Well, it has been a little bit of this escalation, which
well,
that's part of their personal dynamic. I don't know that once President Trump is dealing with President Putin as a counterpart, as a foreign head of state, this is going to go down in the same way. Remember, he's got a lot more flexibility and freedom right now because he's not sitting in the Oval Office.
What's your concern? What's your concern? We had 3,000 people killed at the World Trade Center. We had a plane fly into the Pentagon. We had another plane that was attempted to probably headed for the White House go down, and we never used a nuclear weapon. We could have. There have been plenty of opportunities, but peace through strength. Ronald Reagan coined the term, and why not tell the world we are going to be the strongest on the planet?
I think there's a nostalgia. We're experiencing a nostalgia for a simpler time before jihad, when the big boys had the big toys. And I think that there is one avenue here. We're living in a different time where historically an adversary like Russia we would look askew at now might unite together under the apocalyptic threat of Islam. You know, Putin has a lot of flaws. USSR, before it became Russia, had a lot of flaws. Millions died under Stalin. But Putin's not going to blow up the world. Putin does not adhere to an apocalyptic promise of 72 virgins. So he just wants to live and make Russia as powerful as possible, and there's a flaw in that. But when you're comparing evil and evil, sometimes your enemy becomes your friend when dealing with something as crazy as Islamism.
Real quick, what's worse, though? President-elect Trump sending out a tweet, sort of laying down the marker, and I think trying to, sort of flex his muscle a little bit, or a deal like the Iran deal, which for a lot of accounts is an abysmal failure and really sets the groundwork and the failed policy more substantially than a tweet does. So I think that's the point I was trying to make earlier, is the Iran deal, by comparison, is much worse, but people barely blinked an eye.
Well, let me just quickly say, what about the cost? It would be billions of dollars at a time when President-elect Trump says he wants to cut spending, right? And cut tax. Now you're going to say, oh, here's some billions.
The liberals worry about the price tag.
Right. Isn't that an inconsistency?
All of a sudden, there's a cost.
No, you can pick on me, but isn't that an inconsistency?
No, I think there's nothing inconsistent about Donald Trump. He said we're going to build the strongest military. In fact, he wanted to pull all the sequester clamps that we had on the military spending. He said he wants to re-strengthen all our military.
But it's also not the first time he said this on nukes either. Remember, a year ago he was talking about, when he was interviewed, I forget who he was talking to, but they said, would you remove the threat of using a nuclear weapon against our Western European allies? Would you take that option off the table? And he said no. People freaked out at the time. This is not the first time he said something like incendiary about our nuclear capability.
Wow.
So
but
it's kind of part of a pattern.
Yesterday he said, you know what, we want to cut spending, Boeing, Lockheed. Now all of a sudden the spending, that's why I raised the question. It's not
wasteful spending. He doesn't
I
see,
don't know if
he doesn't
see
spending money on our military as wasteful spending if it's spent in the right way.
And one last note, Putin had a long press conference today in which he said the Democrats need to learn how to lose with dignity.
Yep.